Welcome back to Sophia and Theo. Today, we're jumping into a sci-fi classic, The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Written over a century ago, this novel still captures the imagination with its terrifying vision of an alien invasion.
Ever feel like the world's just on the edge of something massive, something we don't even know? That's the feeling I get from The War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
It's over a century old, but this whole alien invasion thing, it still gets under your skin, doesn't it?
it really does.
But you've brought more to this deep dive than just Martians, haven't you?
Definitely. It's about so much more than that.
You're looking at how society falls apart, the technology, how humans react when the unthinkable happens.
Exactly.
So how about we take a look at how Wells takes us from just everyday life to total Martian chaos?
Yeah, let's do that. What really grabs you about The War of the Worlds is how real it feels, even when it gets to the crazy sci-fi stuff. Wells published it back in 1897, right? Think about it. Electricity, telephones, that was all cutting edge back then. The world was changing so fast. People were excited, but also kind of nervous, And Wells captures that perfectly.
And he plops those Martians right down near Woking, England.
Ah,
Not some far-off planet, but a place his readers knew. Talk about hitting close to home, right?
exactly. And the way he describes it, their arrival, it's like a scientist's report almost. Astronomers watching Mars using the real names for observatories and all the lingo from back then.
Keeps it grounded, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes the unbelievable almost believable for a while there. Until, of course, the cylinder lands.
And out pops Ogilvy, this well-respected astronomer, totally not ready for what he's found. That first curiosity, those early observations, they turn to terror pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely. The second that heat ray fires up,
Yeah.
everything changes. Wells doesn't mess around with showing how bad the destruction is. This isn't some friendly hello from another planet. It's a brutal show of force.
Yeah.
No room for misinterpretation there. And you got to remember, back then, new, powerful weapons were showing up in the real world too.
Yeah.
That heat ray would really struck a nerve with people, almost like it was predicting how dangerous technology could be.
It's like he's holding up a mirror to what people were scared of back then, showing them that progress, well, it doesn't always mean good things, right?
Right. And it's not even just the stuff getting destroyed. It's how little the Martians care about human life.
It's chilling.
They're so alien,
Yeah.
so different, that we're no more important to them than bugs are to us. They're like a force of nature, completely indifferent.
And that's where the real horror starts, I think. Not just the heat ray, but everything we think of as normal. It all crumbles. Wells shows us society collapsing, the panic, the desperation, the fight just to live, people running from London, military trying to fight back. It all becomes chaos.
Yeah.
Total chaos.
And it's really something how he uses the narrator's journey to show us this collapse. He's not some superhero. He's just a regular guy caught in this insane situation, just trying to understand a world gone mad.
And then there's that creepy encounter he has with the artilleryman. That's a huge turning point in the story.
Definitely.
This isn't just some intellectual exercise anymore. It's about survival, plain and simple.
The artilleryman, he's like this primal instinct to survive, stripped down to the bare bones. He's seen the worst of it. And the way he sees the world now, his grim determination, it reflects how harsh things have become. He's adapted, but it meant leaving the old ways behind.
It's that heartlessness, that lack of even seeing us that makes the Martians so scary. And Wells really gets that across in how he describes them physically, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're not just big monsters. They're alien in the truest sense, totally different.
Absolutely. Wells was so ahead of his time when he was imagining what aliens might actually be like. He ditches those little green men and gives us these creatures with huge brains, no digestive systems at all, completely dependent on those creepy handling machines to interact with the world around them.
It's like their bodies are almost secondary, just tools for their minds, just like those machines.
Exactly. And the way they reproduce, budding off new individuals, it's just so far from how we understand life. It really hits home that this is an intelligence that developed under completely different conditions, took a completely separate evolutionary path.
And the way they get nutrients, injecting blood, it's fascinating, but also kind of makes your stomach turn.
Yeah.
It's efficient, sure.
It speaks to that, their efficiency, how alien they are, but also to how little they regard humans. They don't hate us. They don't even really register us. We're just a resource to them, something to be used.
And to fight back against this, we have, well, ourselves. And our technology, compared to their heat rays and black smoke, it seems pretty pathetic.
Yeah. That black smoke that is such a chilling thing Wells came up with.
Yeah.
This invisible, sneaky force that chokes the life out of anything in its path. It's a perfect metaphor for the fear and uncertainty those Martians bring with them.
It is interesting, though, that Wells never gives them wheels. No wheels on any of their machines, nothing. Seems like a small detail, but...
But it says so much about how different they are. Wheels are basic to our technology, how we think about things. By not giving the Martians wheels, Wells really makes it clear that they evolved technologically in a totally separate way. Their ingenuity might be greater than ours, but it's not something we could easily understand or copy.
Okay, so we've got these advanced, ruthless beings that seem unstoppable. Humanity's on the ropes, and then Wells throws us a curveball. What saves us isn't some heroic last stand or a brilliant military move. It's way more humbling and scarier in a way.
Right.
Way scarier.
It's ironic, isn't it? These creatures who travel between stars, who have this unimaginable power, they're taken down by something as simple as bacteria. Microorganisms from Earth, something we barely even think about. That's what does them in.
Talk about survival of the fittest, huh? It's a harsh lesson that for all their technological progress, the Martians were totally unprepared to survive here on Earth.
It really makes you question our definition of intelligence, doesn't it? Are we supposed to believe that a species that can travel between stars wouldn't have thought about such a basic biological threat?
Maybe it shows how arrogant any advanced civilization can be, thinking they're so great that they're invincible.
That's a chilling thought. But even though the Martians are beaten, the story doesn't have a happy ending, does it? The narrator goes back to a London that's completely different, scarred by what happened.
It's a ghost town, so quiet, haunted by what used to be there. Wells's description of the city is just as strong as his battle scenes, but in a totally different way. This isn't about physical damage, it's about the trauma that lingers, the slow, painful process of rebuilding.
And the narrator himself, he's not the same guy who watched that first cylinder fall from the sky. He's carrying the weight of everything he saw, those memories of chaos and loss, the fear, that deep down fear that it could all happen again. It's still there.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What would we be like if that happened to us? How do you even start over when your whole world has been torn apart?
It really shows how resilient humans are, doesn't it? Even when things are unimaginably bad, there's that urge to survive, to rebuild, to find some meaning in all the wreckage.
Yeah.
Wells doesn't sugarcoat how dark it is, but there's this little flicker of hope, too. Life does go on, even though it's changed forever.
And maybe that's what really sticks with you, knowing that we as humans can get through even the most awful things.
It makes you think, that's for sure. But it's also kind of empowering. It reminds us that we have this inner strength, this will to keep going, that even those Martians couldn't destroy.
It's like that saying, you know, there but for the grace of God go I. I mean, we were this close to being wiped out, just like what probably happened on their planet. Makes you think, right?
Definitely. It makes you think about where we fit in, how vulnerable we really are. Wells really forces us to confront the possibility that we might not be top dog in the universe after all.
We always think of aliens as these super advanced beings, but what if it's the other way around? What if we're the ones who are behind?
Yeah.
What if the War of the Worlds is like a warning about where our own progress might lead us?
It's something to consider, for sure. Science fiction has this amazing way of holding up a mirror to us, making us question our ideas about technology, about progress, about our place in the grand scheme of things.
So after really diving into the War of the Worlds like this, after going through the fear, the chaos, that totally unexpected ending, could it actually happen? Could we really face a Martian invasion or something even crazier in our lifetime?
That's the big question, isn't it? The universe is vast. It's full of things we don't understand. The War of the Worlds reminds us not to underestimate what we don't know, both out there in space and inside ourselves.
It reminds us to be curious, but also to stay humble. And hey, maybe to keep an eye on the sky, just in case.
Yeah, right? I mean, as H.G. Wells showed us, sometimes the truth is even wilder than we could ever imagine.
And on that note, we'll leave you all to think about those big questions. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the War of the Worlds. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and stay curious out there.